Hey, what's up? It's Mike Squires, and this is the Couchers Podcast, episode 84. Every time the number gets bigger, I get slightly impressed that I've stuck with it. And thank you for listening. Makes me want to stick with it. Listen, my guest on this episode is probably the only guest that I'll ever have who will own a Super Bowl ring, who's earned a Super Bowl ring. Now, my guest is Toby Fresh, also known as DV1. Now, Toby was the Seahawks DJ in, what Seahawks fans know as the peak. The peak. And so he was right there. He was at both of those Super Bowls. Crazy. So that's cool. He talks about that here in this episode. He's a member of the Rocksteady crew, which is a legendary B-boy crew, which is awesome. And he taught me some basics. We swapped guitar lessons for DJ lessons. So I had like a whole setup in my dining room on my dining room table, which was a high dining room table when I lived in Seattle. And it was awesome. We had a great time swapping lessons and hanging out. And we talk about that stuff. We talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about some race stuff. We talk about Seahawks stuff. Lot of stuff. Guitar stuff, Hawaii stuff, jiu-jitsu stuff. We talk about stuff, man. It was great catching up with them. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you are enjoying Couch Riffs, please, by all means, go to couchriffs.com, buy a t-shirt. Man, they're comfortable. They're printed in Portland, Oregon by my friends Ink Brigade. And if you need t-shirts, you should talk to them about printing your t-shirts. All of the episodes, video episodes, podcasts, and the Etsy store link are at couchriffs.com. If you're enjoying the podcast, leave a positive review and a 5-star rating. That stuff really helps. And if you really, really, really want to support, for as little as 99 cents a month, you can become a pledge supporter. And I would sure appreciate it. It keeps me in the game, helps me keep up and in the game. Now, here is a list of folks who have been helping me for some time. Many of them for a long time. Some of them have come around recently. However long folks have been helping, I sure appreciate it. So, thank you, Ryan Waters. Thank you, Hayden Smith. Thank you, Jamie McParland. Thank you, Matt Gabbs. Thank you, Justin Jones. Thank you, Deja Colantuono. Thank you, Adam Pranica. Thank you, Teresa Morgan. Thank you, Dan Hurst. And thank you, Joan Baker. Thank you, Dan Leary. Thank you, Kathy Giordano. Thank you, Mike Lacerda. Thank you, Rebecca Pellman. Thank you, Chris Smith. Thank you, Perry Morgan. I have my secondary list here again. Hey, you guys are doing this through PayPal or whatever, because there's some antiquated link on the website. But if you go to Anchor, you can do the other thing. So, but thank you, Perry Morgan. Thank you, Oliver Spencer. Thank you, Paul Hutzler. Thank you, Justice Gash. Thank you, Rolla Amplifiers. And of course, thank you, River City Guitars. River City Guitars is the coolest guitar store that you'll find in all of Eastern Washington at bare minimum. They are rising in the ranks of cool in the entirety of the West Coast. My man Bobby is out there hustling and picking up all kinds of rad new guitars all the time. Go follow them on social media, and you will see stuff pop up before it ever reaches the website. Maybe you reach out and you can snag that stuff before it's available to the general public, before it hits Reverb or whatever. But listen, they have so many cool vintage used and cool instruments, and effects and amps. You got to get over there, rivercityguitars.com. Every week, I pick a new pick of the week, right? This week, it is a 1961 Supro Tone Master, which was, I don't know what kind of white it was before, but it is aged out into a beautiful yellow. Now, this thing is peculiar. It's got one humbucker in the neck, right? And then a three-way switch and a volume for each position of that switch, which is so crazy. Then one master volume. So cool. Did I say volume? One tone for each position of that three-way switch. Such a cool little guitar. It's also quite handsome. Anyway, that's my pick of the week. You can have it for $999. They also have that make an offer button. So, I don't know. Go over there, swing a deal. Bobby aims to please. So thank you, River City Guitars. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for your continued support. I sure appreciate everyone listening and supporting and pledging and sharing episodes and all of it. Don't forget the golden rule. And fuck, that's it. Don't fuck this up. We have a lot of potential to fuck all this up right now. It'd be a real shame if we fucked this up. We have a real chance to fix things. And I hope we do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold up. Let me put this somewhere where we can get some full viewage and also some level of comfort.
Delete.
Okay, hold up. You got a hat on, man. Hold on. Should I go get a hat too?
What? I mean, if you want to get a hat, we're not recording video.
Oh.
We just have the video so we can see each other and vibe, so it's not just a phone conversation.
That better? I got a hat now too.
This hat boys.
Yeah, better.
Hat boys.
Shit.
How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's been I mean, it feels fucking ridiculous and petty for me to say it's been a crazy year, but it's been a fucking crazy year.
Yeah, it's been fucking wild.
I think that the Aztecs had their calendar, they were off 20 years and their technology was fucked up.
Did you see the meme?
No.
Where there's a guy and it's like some wrestling meme and he's walking out and he's smiling and he's all happy and then there's this big dude behind him like about to crush him, and they're saying that that's the dyslexic Mayan who wrote 2012 instead of 2021. It's really, the world's about to end in a couple months and shit.
I mean, it feels like that. It feels crazy.
Yeah, it does feel crazy, man. There's been a lot of different things happen. A lot of different things happen throughout the year, and I think it caught people off guard because a lot of people are being told what to do, and they don't necessarily agree with it, like it. They're being forced to be in an uncomfortable place where you have to do nothing and have nothing, right?
Right.
So that place for a lot of people is very uncomfortable, and then just adjusting to that. Like, say if we just start with coronavirus by itself, and we're like, okay, well, now you got to stay home or you're going to die, right? And also, that job you had, yeah, that shit's gone. That shit's gone, and there's no hope for you to make any money for any foreseeable future, right? And then they're like, oh shit, now I got to deal with this. Now I got to deal with all the problems at home that I've been running from
Right.
when I go to work, you know?
Well, there is I mean, the isolation stuff affected me almost not at all. You know, I like that stuff, that part didn't bother me. And I don't mean to, like, I don't say that lightly, like, oh, isolation was no big deal for me. But it wasn't. I'm glad that it was in action, you know, that it was enacted because, you know, if we weren't isolating, then a lot of people would be in danger. And you don't know
Yeah,
who and how it's going to affect people, right?
right.
It affects all kinds of people all different ways. So
I think
that
for most creatives, it wasn't too bad because a lot of times when you want to go to a place where you're making something good, and for most people who are, you know, either creative like artists, whether it's a band member, whether it's a guitar player, singer, DJ, artist, a draw art, you know, anybody that draws, or you know, even a philosopher in their technique, like they typically have to go within to a certain place to find a spot where you can create on that level. So for us, going inside and being isolated is not an unfamiliar place.
right. And then, you know, right when we felt like we saw the light at the end of the tunnel, a bunch of fucking cracker cops showed their true colors. And
Right.
uh and you know, I've said this a bunch, like for years, for 30 years as that I remember, and I'm sure for years and years before I ever heard it, people were saying the next war was going to be a class war or a race war. And as I've said, what's the difference? And there's not always a difference. There's not much of a difference between those two things. And I always thought, well, we'll work it out before then, right?
Right. You would think so, but I mean, I think the difference between class war and race war is that, and I've heard white people say this, and when white people say like shit like this, it's like, you know, they get it, right? They're like, well, shit, man, I may be fucking poor, I may be homeless, but at least I'm white. I'm like, fuck, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when they understand it on that level to where it's like, man, you can hide certain things about you in your life, right? But you cannot hide your race. And when racism is so prevalent that it at this stage in time, like you have people that are racist and they don't even realize that they're racist, right? Like I've been challenging all my white friends and all my
Forever.
people of color friends to listen to Jane Elliott, because she breaks it down in a way to where it's like, if she says it with compassion and understanding, right? And I think there's a gray area of confusion for a lot of people, right? So it's like when people are racist and they don't know it, they have to first understand that just because you have a black friend doesn't mean that you're not racist. What
Right.
Jane Elliott says, she says that if you graduated from the educational system in the United States, it's a miracle if you're not racist, right? Because
Right.
everything that we're taught, whether it's social studies, whether it's history, whether it's science and math, like they don't teach you who invented the science. They don't teach you who invented math. They don't teach you about anything other than Christopher Columbus discovering America,
Right.
right? And then it's like they even subliminally, they'll tell you that the bad kind of magic is black magic. They'll
Right.
tell you if a black cat crosses your path, that's bad luck.
Dark
They'll tell you
arts.
that the fucking blackfish, the orca, say that's a killer whale. But the big shark, that's the great white. You know, so there's all these subliminal things that we're just flooded with. And then it's like you got to kind of deconstruct it backwards and be like, you know, if at this point in time, during these, you know, non-sports, non-work. Everybody has to stay home and be focused and tune in. During this point in time, if you're seeing the injustices that are happening to Black folks now and that have been happening, and you don't have empathy, then you might want to challenge yourself to see whether or not you're falling under the umbrella of a racist, right? And I don't think anybody, like, there's people who get it like in a level to where it's like, okay, fuck, man, I'm a racist and I need to fix this shit. Like, I don't, like, how do I fucking go? Like, how do I show my empathy? This shit's fucked up, right? And then there's other people like, I'm not fucking racist. I got plenty of Black friends. I fucking went to school with fucking Tyrone, and that's my man. You know, fuck that. And they'll be like, but the looters.
I love your white voice. You.
That's my fucking bro. That's my fucking that's the bro. You got the white bro.
It's your red
hat. You got
hat.
the white nerd dude.
It's your guy with the with the backwards upside down golf hat on.
You got the fucking. Come on, man! I feel attacked here. Come on, man! Oh, you want me to put on a hoodie? Yep. Oh shit! Fuck, man! I could do my white nerdy voice if that makes it a little bit better. No. Or would you rather have me do the Nigerian?
What?
That's the 2020 way to say wigger. Nigerian.
Is that right?
Yeah, because they're from Nigeria.
I think I thought about this a lot lately because I live out in the country, you know, and I see people's behavior and things that they say all the time, and I wince. And I don't say anything, and I guess that makes me complicit by not challenging it, and that's where it's where it feels complicated because I don't want to start a fight, and there's like a park next to my house, right?
Okay.
It's the only park in town. It's tiny. It's like by standards of anywhere else. It's smaller than even like the little like neighborhood parks that you would see on Capitol Hill, right? The ones that were like on the lower Capitol Hill. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So yeah. It's tiny. There's like a couple, like 3 swings, but there's a basketball court. And so folks will go and play basketball occasionally. Now we're in the middle of farm country. And every Sunday, a bunch of Mexican folks get together and they have a picnic over there and play basketball, and it's great. And one of my neighbors referred to them as an ethnic group. They said, well, did you see the ethnic group over there? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, do you mean the Mexican family that was over there playing basketball and just carrying on and having a good time? And they were like, well, yeah. Yeah, I saw them. I'm next to the park. Like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like,
how could I miss them?
What? Yes, I saw them. Like, did you see something I didn't see? Like,
right.
There's, I just, with folks that I know better than others, I feel fine saying, yeah, why don't you lay off that? Lay off it. Folks that I don't know, it's hard. I don't want to confront someone when it's like, there's 3 of us and it's, like I'm a volunteer firefighter.
Right.
There's a lot of redneckery going on in there. I don't
know how to cross that bridge, man. It's really hard when the people are uneducated, right? And it's like you want to inform them that they're uneducated, but it's a delicate bridge to cross because people don't know what they don't know. And this system has been in place for the last 400 years, and what you believe is what your dad believes, and what your grandpa believed, and what his grandpa believed, and it goes for generations. So it's kind of hard to cross that bridge and tell people. I think it's easier for people of the same race to communicate to each other in a way that's less offensive. Because if I obviously went up to them and be like, "Look, man, that shit is racist as fuck. Like, why don't you just call them what they are? Like, you just, like, they're not doing anything. Like, why are you so suspicious?" Like, if I say that, they're gonna grab their purse and lock their car doors and walk away and call the police and do all kinds of things that make them feel safe. But if you say it, or if somebody else that they can relate to says it, they might listen with a different ear. But it's just how do you say it though? Yeah.
The incredible thing is that it took a movement to get a name like Black Lives Matter for it to become controversial in the collective consciousness. And like before, I mean, I could get pulled over and tell a cop to fuck off and they wouldn't drag me out of the car and kill me.
Right.
It just fucking wouldn't happen. They'd be like, "All right, get out of the car, you jackass. We're going to make you walk the line, and we're going to make sure that you're not under the influence, because..."
And then we're going to let you go.
Probably, we're going to let you off with a warning. Right. Although I got... You know what? Here's some... Yeah. I drive past the projects in Hudson when I leave work. That's what I do. And when I first moved up here, I had Brooklyn plates. The cars get licensed differently here than in any other state that I've ever known. A plate doesn't stay with a car. Plate stays with the person. So if I bought a car, I would take my plates off of my car and put them on my new car. But when I moved up here, I had a car with Brooklyn plates on it because that's where I licensed my car, right?
Yeah.
So I would get out of work at like 11 at night, drive past the housing project, and then head home. And I got pulled over more times in the first 5 months of living here than I did in the previous 30 years of driving. And they always ask me, "Where are you coming from? Where are you going?" And I'm sure that one of the reasons is the Brooklyn plates. I didn't know any of this shit before. I didn't know that the plates were coded. But the other reason is the road I drove down. And I'm certain that they were just like, just pull this guy over, here's some easy money.
Right.
Where are you going? Right. Where are you coming from? Never like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I would always be indignant. I was just fucking like, "Are you fucking kidding me? What are you pulling me over for? I'm doing the fucking speed limit." And the cops are like, "Well, you're driving a little erratically." This kind of thing. But, if I would have said it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that I got pulled over for driving through a predominantly black part of town. And then it's also ridiculous that I didn't get fucking tased.
Yeah, well, you don't have the complexion for that connection. They're not worried about tasing you. Like, they're not worried about that. They're probably worried. They're like thinking, okay, well, after they figured out, okay, this is a white dude. Okay, well, what's he doing in the project? Or why is he even passing them? Is he getting drugs? Like, what's he doing?
Well,
like,
yeah, I'm sure that's
the mindset that they're going through.
Right.
Then after they figured out that, hey, he's not, he's not a threat and he's white, like, we're gonna leave this guy alone. Nothing happened. But role reversal, that's me.
Right.
I can't say nothing. I have to throw the keys out the window, put both of my hands out, open the door, walk back to him, interlock my hands behind my head, get on my knees, lay face down, and then they'll approach me,
Right.
you know. And when they approach me, it's going to be with the handcuffs first, ask questions later, right? A little bit of different experience. It's fucked up that I know the whole sequence of that,
Right.
too, by heart.
Right.
And I know what laws I have to be compliant with when I get pulled over. Like, you have to have ID, you have to have valid driver's license, insurance, you have to have a garbage bag in your car, you have to, you know what I'm saying, signal like 100 yards. Like, you got to know the driver's manual perfectly, because if not, they're going to get you on something. And you also have to be informed of what their rights are and your rights. Why? Like, why do I have to have all this information? Because if I don't, I'm going to get fucked up. And I have, you know, I still got 4 holes in my back from that shit. Like,
right.
No stranger to the system.
I don't know. People are talking about defunding the police, and I don't know. I don't know if defunding the police is the right way of reform, but it certainly isn't. Certainly isn't continuing like we are.
Okay, check this shit out. That's a good point, because I share in the same opinion at first, right? So when you hear that by itself, right? When you hear defund the police, what do you hear?
Well, I don't hear don't give them equipment. You know, I started to talk. I talked to this about someone with someone earlier this weekend, and then I talked to my wife about it, and she was like, "Well, she said, well, it's good. Like, they're not going to get big guns and a bunch of bullets." And I was like, that's the cheap part. They buy those things once and maintain them. Like, cops don't get paid a ton of money, but there will be salary cuts and staff cuts, and then people will be overpaid. My last guest made the point. He said, well, the concern that I have about that, and I'm also like, I'm not so, like, all these images of cop cars on fire, they don't really bother me. Like, I'm like, you know, great. See that, feel it, cops, and don't get angry. Ask yourself, why is this happening? But I said there are only a few kinds of people that want to be cops, right? There are like power hungry people, and there are people who feel a deeper need to serve their communities.
Yes.
And what happens when people who want to serve their communities can't really afford to because they can't make enough money? Then all you have left is the power hungry fuckers. Right. And then we're back to square one. Or 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 3 and 2, or whatever.
So what I heard when I first heard defund the police, right? I heard, like, the first thing that came to mind is like, oh, you gonna take their money away, like sock it to their pocket? That's not gonna work, because some communities need policing, and I've heard the argument that you can have a community without police, and I think maybe if, you know, in an ideal society you could, but when I asked about it and I got the specifics to defund the police, it's not take away all their money. It's like they get, you know, in Seattle, for example, they get 400, the budget for the police, and in King, I think this is just King County alone, is like $410 million annual or something like that.
How much does the parks program get? How much does the city parks get?
Like that's what they're, it's either 411, 400 something. And I don't know if that's annual or whatever the hell it is, but that's what they get, right? So if you deconstruct this money system and be like, okay, well, a lot of times you have police getting calls for people who are mentally ill. You know, right. if you took a portion of that budget and fund mentally community staffed mental health centers, and maybe have a security squad for people when you get a call, and instead of calling police for serious, for non-serious issues, you can call these people, or have them go out or do something, or put
Yeah,
it
but
in
what
the hands of
happens
the
when
community.
Karen is the one making the calls? Like you don't,
Right,
the dispatch center
right.
doesn't know who to
And
send.
if Karen's making the call, then I mean, that's a problem. That's a problem too. But I don't think that the defund thing is so much. Like, I agree with it. Like, they could send that money to different places where it's like it could alleviate some of the pressures that the police get, and not send a fucking trigger happy cop to go arrest somebody who might just have a mental issue, or might have, it might not be as a serious emergency. And then,
What about this? What about, like in the workplace, they have these signs that say, like, it's been 743 days since we had an accident on site. This kind
right,
of shit. And then, people get bonused based on a lack of incidents. What happens if police have a base salary and they're commissioned by de-escalating like you're incentivized?
right. Instead of being incentivized to pull people over, because I heard they get bonuses based on who has the most traffic stops. So if people have the most traffic stops quota time, like, they'll get financial bonuses to pull people over. And guess what? Who's the easiest people to pull over? People of color, right? So I think it would be great if you incentivize them the opposite way, as opposed to incentivizing them for more.
Why not?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm running for mayor, by the way. 2022 Squires.
What happened?
I'll be running for mayor.
2022
Yeah.
Squires.
Squires 2022.
I'm not going to tell any jokes. I'm not going to tell any jokes about like how I have your name saved in my phone, or your screen, or your profile picture when you call up. I'm not saying that, because that was all a joke. We'll go back to happier times when we're at a better place. But
you should change that.
I would vote for you. I would vote for you.
You should change that stuff. That stuff hurt my feelings, and I just let it slide because you could kick my ass.
I don't know if I could kick your ass, man. I'm not confident in that, man. I'm not confident. I know I've seen you do push-ups. I know you're a badass.
Push-ups ain't strangling people, though. I know. I'm not trying to I don't remember the last time I got hit in the face, and I'll bet you got hit in the face yesterday.
Yes, yesterday, right here.
Oh, I can't see it. I can't tell, but I know you're getting hit all the time. Like, you'd hit me once, and I might get mad, and then I'd see you take it, you following up with the right cross, and I'd be like, okay, I just crumble.
I think if me and you ever got in a fight,
let's not talk about it.
I would try to grab you, and I'd try to take it to the ground, because I could have much more fun on the ground, and I don't have to worry about you punching me or kicking me or something like that. Like, I could basically, if we're on the ground, I think I would stand a better chance than if I do standing up with
you. Just so that people understand why this conversation is funny, is that you are a fighter. Not like a street fighter, like a mixed martial art.
I train every day, either jiu-jitsu or MMA or some of that stuff. Or I'm at home. I got this dummy that I've been rolling around with. See this guy? This is my training dummy.
What is that? Elmo?
It was a Kermit the Frog or something like that, and I just wrapped him up with some towels and put a gi on him, gave him a little belt, and I just practiced my chokes and wrap them up. These ones, my throws, like.
So even when you're not at the gym training there, you're training with Kermit the Gi.
Yeah, at home. That it improves my grips. It also helps my technique get a little bit crisper.
That's crazy.
Good, man. It's good. It's kind of like even when you're not playing, even when you're not playing out somewhere, you're still jamming at home.
Right. And even when I'm driving around, I'm thinking about music.
Right, exactly. Like you're thinking about chord combos, you're thinking about different bass lines and how a drum loop might fit with something else, and you're thinking about like whether you're going to use your bar chords or whether you're going to go straight. Like you're thinking about music theory, like everything's firing up.
You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I've been fighting since probably 2000. I did wrestling first, and I think it was in 2012 is when I started. Before that, I used to fuck around with my friends, but 2012 I started training because none of my friends wanted to play around anymore, so I had to find better friends. I had to find better friends.
That must be about the time we actually met.
Could have been right around there.
That'd have been
Rocky time to Layla and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You were a badass, dude. You were a badass. You were a fucking badass.
I know what happened.
I remember the one guy from Rocky,
Pete.
Yeah, the Eddie Van Halen looking dude.
Yeah. He knows everything.
Fuck, man. He was gonna teach me how to play, and I got so excited. I was like, "Yo, what's up?" And then he's like, "Hey, man, nobody really ever takes me up on guitar lessons. I just thought you were gonna say yes and then never call me. So, you know what I'm saying?" I was like, "What? What do you mean? What are you saying?" He's like, "I can't do it." I was like, "Fuck!" Then Mike comes along and he's like, "Hey, man, if you want to fucking, I'll show you some shit." I was like, "Really?" I went and bought 2 guitars that day.
I know.
I went and bought 2 guitars.
You went right out. No, I was surprised because people say shit like that all the time. Like, I want to play guitar. I want to play guitar. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you were already a busy guy. You were training. You had DJ gigs.
Yeah.
And then you were doing like some work in the market, right? You still do that shit?
All day, every day. I'm on the market all day, every day. Every day. All day, every day.
Yep. And so you were a busy guy already. I was like, oh, well, he's not going to follow through. And then you came back and said, yeah, let's go. Wait a minute. Did you buy a guitar at the guitar store where I was teaching?
I bought 2 guitars from you. I went to your spot out there on Northgate, right on the corner.
Yeah.
And I went and I bought 2 guitars. I bought the black one and I bought the regular one from you. And then I was practicing my chord combos. I still got all the books and shit.
Yeah.
I got all that shit. But I was, because I was fighting so much, I would come home and my knuckles would be so up from like fighting, and I would have broken fingers half the time, like my pinky. So it's like when you're trying to play chords or like when you're trying to stretch and your knuckles are like, bro, like if you look at my shit, man, they're like twisted. This one was busted way out the other way. Look, it's still kind of curved and shit. This one, like if you look at this one, like you can see the
and that hurts when that happens. That hurts like hell.
It hurts like it hurts bad, dude.
I'd rather have my ear bit
off.
Look
at this one. Look at this one. This one was twisted all the way up. Like, whoa. You can see like.
I would rather have my ear bit off than break a finger, I think.
Man. You know what I mean? But imagine trying to strum or trying to learn say if you're doing a D is pretty easy. C. Like what if you're trying to do like a G and your ring finger is busted?
Right.
Or you're trying to strum and you got to cast on your pinky. It's like
do you have a guitar out there at all?
I think I sold my guitar. I do have access to one. My little brother has one I can play anytime.
You should get you know what you should get? You should get a also because I don't think we've talked about it. You're in Hawaii now.
Yeah, I moved, man. Trump got elected and I moved. I'm in Oahu. So right in the heart of Waikiki.
Wow. What's that transition been like?
Bruh, so the weather is one thing, night and day. Like it's sunny year round. It rains here for 5 minutes and then it's done. We might get torrential rains for a couple of days or whatever, but then it floods and everything's good, back to normal. The people are beautiful, like aloha, like spread aloha is like a real thing. Like when I first moved here, I went to the mall and I parked my car and I got out and I seen these hooligan looking kids, right? And they're as I'm walking away from my car, they're like, "Hey, what's up? What's up?" And I'm like, "Hey," they're like, "Hey, bro, what's up, man? Wait, hey, yo." And so I'm trying to ignore them because I was like, "Man, I don't want no trouble, I don't want." And then they're like, "Hey, man, yo," and I looked over, I was like, "All right, what's up, man? Yo, you left your door open, man. You might want to close that because somebody could get in there." I was like, and like, I was amazed because they could have not said shit and just waited for me to go in the store and went in there or whatever, but they didn't. Then like people are like loving, like your neighbors will bring you stuff. Like it's beautiful. And the people of color, the majority, so you don't have these same issues where they have a rich culture as far as their history, as far as their own land, as far as their language. So you don't have the same problems as you do on the mainland where it's imbalance of culture and an imbalance of information. Like it still exists out here, but it exists on such a lower level. And because the people of color are the majority, I think it's a different feeling overall. Like people don't look at you sideways. You don't get the same aftertaste of direct racism, right? Like people looking at you crazy and you don't know whether they're woke or they're not woke, whether they're Karen about to call the police on you for taking pictures of birds, or Kevin, her husband, trying to come up, "What are you doing looking at my wife? Or I'll tell you my grandfather fought in the war and Colin Kaepernick's a piece of shit." Like, what telling me all this shit for? So it's different, man.
He might be in New Orleans next year.
Oh shit! Did they hire him?
No, no, just with Drew Brees, fucking getting his foot in his mouth. He must be working on his yoga on the off season because he got his foot all the way up there.
You see what I'm saying? But this is the point. Like people make these comments and these statements, and they get it so nobody's talking about patriotism. But then if you want to look at it on that level, like what about the black patriots and the black soldiers and the black vets and the black, the black or the people of color who were like in the service? What about the one? Did you hear about the one guy who was a serviceman and he got an honorable discharge for being injured or something? And as he leaves, he's still in his like, I don't know if he was in the Army or Marines or Navy, whatever he is, but he's still in his uniform. He gets abducted by the police and beaten so bad that he's blind now for the rest of his life.
What?
Right? Yes, person of color. So it's like when people are talking about patriotism and they get it confused, like when social injustice or racial injustice happens and people are like Black Lives Matter, and then these people pull out, my grandfather fought for the war and this country stands strong in the flag, and it's like nobody's even making that argument. We're just making the argument that's like, yo, we need to stop getting killed, and other people need to recognize that systemic racism is an issue that has happened, and many people, even Black people, have been blinded to this because that's all we're taught.
Right.
Nothing about fuck America, like no.
Right. I think that I'm going to speculate. White people are afraid. They're fucking terrified that equality is going to strip them of their freedoms. It's kind of, yeah.
Or strip them of their power?
What America is such a rat race of a place, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That if more people have more freedoms and are able to achieve more, then maybe folks that feel like they're ahead feel threatened by that because they're going to have to work harder to stay up.
Maybe. But at the same time, I think the people in power have such a far lead. Like they're like even if we make the comparison to jiu-jitsu or
I'm
MMA,
not talking about people in power. I'm talking about citizens, like fucking Joe. I'm talking about Joe Schmuckatelli. I'm
So
talking about
you're talking about equal playing ground people. So it's like,
yeah.
you know, like, well, I mean, that just forces everybody to work harder then, right? Because you know,
But
like
it just doesn't work like that. Like equality is equality. Like that's, you know.
well, I'm talking about as far as the fear, right? So if somebody's afraid that, like, so say if I'm a white dude and I'm afraid that, oh shit, now if Dante over there has the same chance as I do, it's more likely he's going to get it because he's a little bit. The odds are in his favor. Maybe he's a little bit quicker. Maybe he's a little bit sharper. Maybe he's a little bit smarter, more personable. Whatever it is that I'm afraid of that he might have that I don't have. That's what I was talking about.
Right.
It would force the other guy. It would force me to work a little bit harder than Dante because I know he might have an edge, right? But if that's the case, though, we have to think about it like this: if you're okay with that for somebody else, like say if I'm the guy that's afraid of equality, and so I like the fact that it's unequal. I like the fact that, you know, Dante's going to have to struggle, and he probably won't get my job. Definitely won't get a loan for this house that I'm going to get a loan for. He definitely won't be able to go to this college. He definitely won't be, you know, if you're okay with that for somebody else, then why wouldn't you be okay with that for yourself? That's the question, right? So it's not truly equal, right?
I think that. Oh, what happened? I lost you.
Right here. No, you'll never lose me. I'm right here.
I also
loyal to the soil, baby.
Yeah, you got all the rhymes. You got all of them. I think, you know, I think it's hard to admit when you're wrong, right? For anyone.
Yes.
It's hard to say I was wrong. Or it's hard to say it's equally as hard to say you're right. And this is uncomfortable and hard and I don't know what to do. Show me. Show me how to help. Show me how to help. And that's hard because it also, you know, in a court of law, you could just be like, I plead the fifth, but this is not a court of law. This is the fucking big, wide open world, right?
Right. But imagine like with you. So imagine like with you with guitar, like when you first started playing, right? Mm-hmm. And say you're playing a chord combo, and you're trying to nail that eruption. Like you hear eruption, and you're like trying to nail that shit. Like you're trying to, and it doesn't sound right, right? If it doesn't sound right, are you gonna go to somebody else and be like, "Yo, what I'm doing is wrong. I need help. I need to learn." Either you do that and you get the help that you need and you figure it out and you play it right, or you keep playing it and it sounds like shit and you're not satisfied with it. Nobody else is satisfied and it sounds horrible, or you just figure out how to do it right. So it's like in all of these things that in all of these areas where I think, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, like we're forced to be in situations where we have to say we're wrong. Like in jiu-jitsu, if I make a mistake and I'm wrong, I get fucking tapped out. I get choked out. I get hit. I get punched. Like there's all kinds of, if it's MMA, if it's wrestling, I'll get taken down. There's all kinds of, if it's the stock market, I'll lose $100,000. Like there's times when you're wrong and you pay for it. You learn from that mistake and you don't make it again.
Hopefully.
So I think that you're, hopefully not, right? But if that's the point, man, people need to, at the very least, be like, the first step is like, okay, where am I going wrong? Like, am I wrong? Is this racist? And then if someone says, yeah, then don't get butthurt about it. Be like, well, how can I change? How is it racist? Help me see that, right? But people have that veil to where they just don't want to be wrong, man. They want to be right all the time. And
no one can be.
It contributes to the problem, right? So, and even going back to what you said earlier about the family in the park, like, how would you like how do you formulate the right words to communicate to them? Yo, that's you might want to rethink that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
How do you say how do
those
you
guys
do
are
it?
the guys that said that were, I consider them friends, and I was like, those guys aren't bothering nobody. They're over there playing basketball, having a picnic, and they're there every Sunday. They were there last year too, and they're good folks. They're not like first of all, that's a public park, and they're good folks. They're good folks. They're just over there doing that. If you went over and talked to them, they'd probably invite you to play basketball. Like, they're cool.
Right.
Right. And then
they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing everybody else wants to do that steps on that court.
Right. I mean, I'd take them to the hole. They didn't do it as good a job as I would do.
I agree. I think you probably would too. You got that Bill Lambier game.
Not really. I got more of like a Brikowski thing going on.
You got that. You got that Kurt Rambis flow.
I'm just like the hammer. Just go in, the hammer of justice. I've told this story before, I think, on the podcast, but when I first moved to Seattle, my second or third job that I ever had, I worked in the Pike Place Market, and I worked with two first-generation immigrants, a Korean guy that owned the produce stand, and then a Polish guy who sort of like spoke better English and was the go-between between the two of us. And, all the celebrities roll through Pike Place Market. Like, everyone rolls through. We saw everyone come through there. We saw Steven Tyler come through, and I took a picture of Stan, the Polish guy, with him. And Rodman came through. When the finals went on.
Yeah. 96.
Rodman came rolling through. He just came rolling through. No bodyguards. No one with him. No, just as if he was just any other guy, which is crazy because
he's a rock star, dude.
Yeah, for sure. And Stan, this crazy fucker, rolled up to Rodman and chest bumped him. And Stan was shorter than me, so his chest hit Rodman at his midriff. He chest bumps him.
Isn't Rodman 6'9" or something like that?
He's a big man. And Rodman looks down at him excuse me? And Stan's looking up at him and he goes, Sonic's in 7. And Rodman just laughed at him and said, no way, man. He said, no way, man. It was amazing.
Oh, man.
It was incredible.
Do you remember those games, though?
I watched them. Yeah, they were good. I mean, everyone, we were all holding our breath, but it was it didn't, it never felt like we were really there, but it wasn't, it
wasn't a sweep. It wasn't a sweep, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Oh yeah. Those were the golden years. That was
96, man. I remember that. I remember that clearly. I don't even know shit about sports, but I remember that shit.
Let me ask you this. Well, I want to talk about so you're the first DJ that we've had on the show. I say we as if Couch Riffs is a big organization. Yeah, exactly. Me, I'm just puffing on my big cigar with my feet up on my
we don't have many DJs on our show. You're the first one.
How long have you been at that?
So I started in 90. I started in 92. I want to say started getting serious, right? I've always been playing music, right? I've always been part of the culture part.
Right.
hip hop is concerned, whether it's, writing, doing graffiti artwork, or whether it's b-boying or MCing or DJing, all of it. Like I've always been part of it. But I started getting serious about DJing in around 1992.
Yeah.
Then I started getting in battles and
DJ battles.
And I didn't win. Like at first I thought I was hella good. Like I thought I was really fucking good. I was like, yo, I just started 6 months ago. There's a DJ battle next week. I'm about to win. Right?
No.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. And then I think I got further that year in the rap portion of the battle than I did in the DJ portion. Like I made it to but in my defense, like there were some technical issues, like the power went out, and but I was completely lost before the power went out. Like I was not. I
Thank
didn't know
God
what
the power went out.
Yeah, thank God. And then I just went out and I started going crazy. Like, like trying to fuck it up, and it was a mess. Thank God that's before cell phones. But then the next year I went back and I had a fucking routine ready for him. I was like, "Oh, I'm about to do my phrasing with my beat juggles." Beat juggling is when you take two records, the same record or different record, and you just juggle a beat, juggle like the snare and the kick, and maybe possibly the hi-hat. You make a completely separate beat than the one that's playing on the record. Just isolate the sounds. So say I'll take the kick on one side, just drum with that, make my own beat, but I'll do it on two different turntables. And you could also do that with phrases. So say if there's a phrase where if it says, like in the old Audio 2 song, where it says, so step up if you want to get hurt, right? You can take those individual words and be like, if you step up, you gon' step up if you want to get hurt. So, and then people be like, yo, we just changed the words, yo.
Right.
So I had this phrasing where it's like, LL, he says, I do it, pump it up and play it so they hear it all around. I do it up rough. So I was like, I do it all around. I do it all around. I do it. And then I step up on the table and I go around my back and do all this stuff. And step over the mixer and the turntable. So I'm doing that the second year and the mixer falls.
No. How'd that go over? You didn't place, did you? How far into the routine?
Oh shit. Oh man. That's like when you're slapped in the face, or it's like you was trying to be way too creative, sir. So right. I think it was maybe like a minute in or 90 seconds in or something, but at that point I was determined to come up with a foolproof routine because I had I had my fair share of technical stuff. And then finally I won one. Like I won one of the big ones in 97. So like 5 years later, I finally won. Things started taking off from there, started getting better jobs. And in 96, the reason why I remember that Sonic stuff, because I had just came back and I was putting out mixtapes, right? With all the new, because I went to Atlanta and the radio show that I was on, we won like the best mix show of the year. So I was getting all kinds of records and all kinds of stuff from record labels. They're like, yo, play this on your radio show and all kinds of exclusives. Here's a white label, this new artist coming out by the name of Nas. He's gonna, and we got this new group starting up called the Fugees. They might be big one day. And so I'm getting all these records, and then Tupac dropped a record talking shit about Biggie. I put that on, and when I was getting drops from people, like artists would be like, yo, this is such and such. You're listening to DB1. One of the people that called up and gave me a drop was like, yo, this is, whoever the fuck it was at the time. And you're listening to DB1. And someone in the background was like, Sonics are still winning. I was like, yeah. So, and then after that, the job.
So wait a minute. You said that. So where were you? Were you doing a radio thing?
Yeah, I did radio in Seattle. So I did KCMU with with Nasty Ness, who was like this huge radio DJ. Like he's like a Seattle legend. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I used to carry his crates. And this was in '96, and he knew I was a battle DJ. And his wife at the time had heard one of my mixes. She was like, "You should put him on the show." And so luckily he heard it. He was like, "Yo, this sounds like the mixes I used to do back in the day." And I was like, "No shit, motherfucker, because I used to listen to you back in the day. Like you're the man." So he let me carry his crates for him. So I would carry his crates up to the radio show while he was DJing. And this is before like we didn't have like digital. Like you actually had to have a record, right?
Right.
So, and you put the records into crates, and they're heavy. And because I was, you know, like his understudy or whatever you want to call it, like I would just carry his crates for him, so he wouldn't have to carry him. I carry his crates up to the record show and or up to the radio show, and then, you know, I would record my mixes on a cassette, and then he would play the cassette, right? So I had been doing that for a couple of years, and we won the best mix show. I was DJing with him on radio, and it was pretty fucking cool to,
That's
you know,
great.
like be starting out as a DJ and then win that. Like it was a huge conference. Like the names at like there was Puffy at this conference, Busta Rhymes, like E40, Goody Mob, like every record label who had somebody, like every record label was there at the time, and whoever they had as an artist on their label was there as well. It was Outkast was there, Goody Mob, Mystical, like anybody who was anybody at that time was there. It was huge. I saved Ghostface's life at this same, like I got stories, man. Like this is a huge, like it was a huge convention, man. It's called Gavin Convention, 1996 in Atlanta. And Gavin was like a music publication where they would chart, where all the artists would chart who they're playing, and they would see how they fare against what was, you know, popular at the time and things. It was industry shit, right?
Yeah. What is Rocksteady?
Rocksteady is it's like a original one of the original b-boy crews from the Bronx. So when hip hop first started, you know, they had events. The park, obviously, everybody knows the history of hip hop, like how it got started. DJs in the park, b-boys, MCs, and when it first started, there was a crew of b-boys. Like if you've seen Beat Street, or if you've seen Wild Style, or Style Wars, or Flashdance, Rocksteady was the ones who were primarily the ones that were the best of the best. So when it comes to dancers and when it comes to b-boys and DJs, and they're typically the cream of the crop. Like they had the best dancers at the time, and it's arguable, but you know the history speaks for itself, right? You can ask whoever you want to ask, and some people have a different opinion, but I believe the majority opinion is that Rocksteady, for their contribution and for their time, was the best of the best, right? And when I won that battle in '97, the guy who was throwing that battle was a member of Rocksteady. And he was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna introduce you to my friend." And little did I know, his friend was fucking Crazy Legs, and Crazy Legs is like the president of Rocksteady, and he's one of the greatest dancers that I've ever seen. Him and Wiggles, like they're Ken Swift, like they're all staples and pioneers in the hip hop community because of their status, right? So he introduced me to Legs, and then he flew me back and forth to New York, and then before I know it, I'm in Rocksteady. Like they're like, "Yo, we want you to be in the crew. We want you to come to the events. We like your style, blah blah blah, and we'd like to extend our hand." Like typically, you know, that shit doesn't happen. Like I still had to battle my way in, and when you look at the DJs in Rocksteady, it's like Hubert, Mixmaster Mike, Shortcut, like all these guys who are massively, insanely good. You know, and I got to battle Tony Touch. Like I got to battle these guys to get into Rocksteady. And it's like,
is that right?
Yeah.
And so tell me about that. You fly out.
So basically, what happened is I kind of dodged the bullet, because I think that winning the battle in '97 in Seattle, the international one, and getting the eye of Alex Aquino, who at the time was managing Hubert and was a member of Rocksteady crew, and I had met Legs before in like '95, but you know I didn't think God, ever being rock steady. Like that's the pinnacle, man. Like that's some good shit.
Right.
So I kind of dodged a bullet because I didn't really have to battle like that, and I used to just like when they extended the offer, I was like, hell yeah, I want to be in Rocksteady, of course. They're like, okay, well you got to battle, and I was like, anytime, and anytime never came. Anytime never came. Anytime never came. So.
So you think that they just open the gate because of your like your bold
I think it was a
confidence
combination of
and the two titles.
I think it was a combination of the my battle history, and also I was like at that time when you're DJing for b-boy events, like you have to play breaks, right? And there's all the same breaks that people can play classics, but what I would do is I would look for new breaks and I would play all kinds of funky shit that people hadn't heard. So it was kind of a plus to have somebody who's like a breath of fresh air at the time, right? And then I just kept like one upping like after that, like as far as visibility, as far as promoting the culture, as far as bringing people to town, as far as like starting my own little legions of b-boys, doing events and hiring rock steady people, and then just keeping it, like keeping the culture alive, so to speak, in the right way. And that's how I got on with them. And that's, it's been a fun. I think that was like '98 when that happened.
Were you around the what was it called after Weathered Wall? Was it Weathered Wall or was it I Spy?
Yeah, it was Weathered.
Like
it was I Spy Weathered Wall down there on 4th Avenue.
Yeah, like under the monorail.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you go to any of those events?
All the time. At the time, a buddy of mine was working with a lot of the local venues, and he had a band himself. A buddy of mine was working with a lot of the local bands, and he had a band himself. So he was doing a lot of the bookings for those events. So because there wasn't that many, DJs that could call on, he would call me to do a bunch of those events. And then when we started the DJ crew, then we would do a lot of those events too, where we like come as an actual crew of DJs and we put together a set, and we would like scratch and juggle and do a whole performance just based on the turntables being a piece of equipment, like a guitar, like a drum pattern. So like one dude would take a bass line and then play with the pitch. So like and like play with the pitch where the pitch would be changing, or take like a control record where it's just a beat,
right?
And you play with it, like just play with it, right? And then you could put other like on you do that on one turntable, and then you got somebody else drumming on the other one with just a kick and a snare, and he's playing the drums. The other guy's playing with the pitch, and the other guy might have the bass line, or the other guy might have some words that he's cutting up with the words, and it'd be like a whole thing, and people would watch and be like, "Yo, this shit is fucking dope, son." So we did fucking bumper shoot hella times in a row. We opened up for Erykah Badu, D'Angelo. We did summer nights on the pier. We did like you name it. We were doing all the shit.
Right.
All the shits.
So when you started taking guitar lessons from me, you very generously, because I said, yeah, okay, fine, I'll give you guitar lessons, but do you remember what the deal was?
I gave you my turntables. I was like,
you gave me DJ lessons because I was like, I think I could do this.
Yeah, and you fucking immediately got it. Because you know what, you know music theory, and you're like a one-man band, so of course you got it.
I mean, you're being very generous.
I don't think so, man. You're being very humble.
It was shocking to me to see how things go together, like how you could create an ensemble of music. Especially now with the technology, it's a lot easier. I loved when you were like, well, treat it like a record. Don't treat it, like there were all those stopping points for the samples, right? You could hit a hit a controller, and you'd have like stopping points,
Right.
so that you'd be rolling along, and boom, oh, I need that sample now. Here it is, boom, and then you could work with it. But one of the things that fucked me up was when you showed me, because I love Grind Date and that record. I bought when it came out, and just was like,
De La.
that was, yeah. Oh fuck, that
Good
was
shit, man.
yeah. I mean, I think their best record. It's
Man,
fucking.
they got some good ones, man. That shit was great, man. That shit was great, man. I'm
But
not
there's
gonna argue that at all.
there's one song in particular that I'd never heard anyone do it like. There's not a lot of like time changes in hip hop, right? There might be a speed up or a slow down, but not like where the beat is slowing down and like the rap along with it is. What is the song called? I know that you know
That's
because
called Rock Cocaine Flow.
fuck, it's so good. But you had all those bits, and you broke it down, and you showed me where the samples came from, and it messed me up. I thought, okay, well, here's how it is deconstructed. So surely I could put something together and do this. And I couldn't believe how difficult it was to put something together that was good, because I never did.
Right.
I never did. And I still have a Spotify playlist, in my little playlist there, set aside, where I was like, all right, I'm going to grab samples from these songs.
Oh, that's perfect.
But yeah, there were certain things that I thought, like, okay, like fundamental things, but I think probably because I've played music for a while, I think I probably was impatient. Like, I thought that I was going to run before I could walk.
What's the one song I had you juggling? It was
Billy Squire.
Oh, that's a good one too. No, I'm thinking about the
Big
one.
Beat, or
no, it was
Highway to Hell.
No, it was more new. It was grunge. It starts off with the dun 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 dun.
The even flow.
Yeah, there we go. Even flow, right? But I was juggling it, right? And then I wanted you to juggle it, and you were struggling. I remember, but then I was like, as soon as I put it in the musical terms, I was like, instead of bringing it in on the 1, bringing it on the 8, and you immediately, and then every single time after that, you brought it in on the 8 perfectly, right? So I was like, this guy gets it. So I'm sure you could be sampling something. I don't know why you're not.
I know every once in a while that stuff takes up so much space, and you know what? Hopefully we're going to build a little outbuilding studio here on our property. So we got a little space there. We actually went and looked at, I've driven by this property, and I stopped and talked to this guy, because I was just like, that's the building. That's what I want. Like a single pitch roof, real simple. And you got to be careful around here walking onto someone's property. So I went into his driveway.
Oh, you mean like Columbus did, walking onto people's property?
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm talking about, except that people up here, they got guns. I'm not trying, like, I'm allergic to bullets. And I don't want to, like, I don't want to.
Hey, you'd be surprised how much you can take, man. But anyway, go ahead with your story.
Oh, so the guy ended up being a sweetheart. Like, I walked up his driveway, not too far, but then I could see into the window of this little building, because there's a giant window on the side of it, and he was sitting in the window playing guitar. And so I was like waving my arms to get his attention, and he came out, and he's like an architect, he's up full time now because of all the pandemic shit, but he lives down in Brooklyn Heights, and it's just like his weekend place, but it's sick. Like,
Well, tell me about his guitar playing though. Was he good?
oh,
What's his story?
oh, I don't know. I mean, he's like, I play guitar. This guy is a guitarist. He had like a classical acoustic. He was sitting with a music stand playing like classical guitar. He's this guy. He's not like Knuckle Dragon playing Nirvana songs or whatever.
Right.
Anyway,
and then breaking the guitar afterwards.
but once, because right now I kind of use some like the very edge of our common space in the house for all my music stuff, and typically for the podcast too. Right now I'm upstairs in the bedroom with my mobile stuff, but otherwise I would be down. Like this is our bedroom.
I'm trying to deconstruct what's in the background. I'm like, I see a sheet. I see some.
Well, that
I see a clock.
take it easy. Don't start talking about sheets. Man, that's in poor taste.
Oh, fuck.
You're gonna bring up my contact information again. No, that's not a sheet. That's a window. This is a window here. And then this is like my wife's dream catcher decoration stuff.
Oh, okay. Somebody's woke.
What, because of the dream catcher?
Yeah.
You got to be asleep to be dreaming.
Right.
Yeah, but when we have, we want to build a building out there where it's just like a single story thing, where it's a creative space. We go out there and we can be loud, and and then the house is just a nice, quiet, peaceful place.
How far away is this place?
What?
The spot you were looking at.
Oh, he's like 20 minutes away.
So you can go there and jam out as hard as you want.
Well, I can't just go to his house.
What is it, a room?
Yeah, it's like a building he built on his property.
Oh,
it's on the
gotcha.
property of his house. Yeah, he's we want to build something like that.
What are you going to do with the space? What are you going to do with the space, though?
What will we do with the building that we built? Like I'll put all my recording stuff out there. I'll put my guitars out there. You'd be shocked at how many guitar cases.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, you've seen.
I know you're about that. I know you're about that life, man. I know you are. You worked at the guitar store and you were explaining the difference. You and Michael Watson were explaining the difference to me, expensive guitars and why they're so expensive, and the wood and all that stuff, and why they sound different, and all these things. Like all these things I had no clue about. But then this guy is showing me like, this is a classic such and such and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh,
right. Well, yeah, it's like, okay, well, you have a Telecaster. What do you need a Stratocaster for? I don't know. You got an 808. What do you need a 909 for?
You need them both.
Well, yeah.
You need them both. You need an 808 and a 909, and you also need an MPC and you need an SP12. Like you need all of them.
What about do you have an MPC? What about these new ones that are,
I heard that they're pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm pretty spoiled though, because I think when I started getting serious or started getting interested in making beats, everything was digital, right? So all I need is a MIDI. I got a MIDI over there, and you can get a MIDI SP and do everything digital.
Right.
You can get a MIDI MPC and everything. You can get an 808, and they have these little tiny
controllers.
And it's an 808 controller, same thing, which you're just looking at. So it's different time, but you can still, like, for me, I got lucky with that shit.
I every once in a while I think about having that tall table in my, what would have, in a more responsible person's life would have been their dining room in my apartment, and
on Delridge.
Yeah,
I mean, not on Delridge, but on Avalon. Avalon.
And having your mixer and your two turntables over there was like, it was a real treat for me. It was so fucking great, man. I loved that
shit was solid, man. And I was excited to see you practicing.
I did too. I really did.
That shit was great. That shit was great.
I also wanted to ask you, you DJ'd Seahawk practices, is that right? And some
I did.
games?
I did practices and I did all the practices and all the games. I went on tour with them. We would go to different cities for the beginning of the season before the season starts. So we'd go to like places like Idaho and other places closer. Like we do a bus tour to all the cities that were close to us that don't have football teams.
Right.
And I did all the home games on the field. So
Wait a minute. They would actually tour to outlying communities, like to promote the team as a brand, or were they out doing
to promote the team as a brand, to promote the players. And so there'd be players there. There'd be a couple staff members from the office, and they do all these giveaways and they do these free promo things. They have a big bus, and they'd have a whole day of events for kids if you want to play catch, if you want to do. It was pretty cool, man. Like you go out there and you make a day out of this event, and then you go somewhere, you spend the night at a hotel, and then you hit the next city the next day and do the same thing. We would do that for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, come back to the town, and every single year that's what the.
And so they'd have a booth set up on the field with a little sound system, and you would be spinning while they're having these kids run routes and stuff.
It would be pregame stuff, right? So it'd be the pregame. They would have me on the 31-yard line, and they would set up a table, and then they put a stand over it, canopy over it, and then in case it rained or in case it was.
Is there a significance at 31?
That's my birthday.
Is that right?
So when we first went down there to set it all up, because before I was just DJing in Touchdown City, which is where you enter into the stadium before you get to the actual seats. Like you go in through Touchdown City. It's like if they're doing a boat show, if they're doing a car show, if they're doing a concert, they'll do it in Touchdown City. So they had me in there. But then when Pete Carroll came on, Pete Carroll was like, yo, we need you at practice. So I started going to practice. And then he's like, yo, we need you on the field. And I was like, okay. So we set up a meeting and I went on the field and they were like, where do you want to be? And I was like, this spot looks pretty cool because the 31-yard line was right by so to the right of me is the Hawk's Nest up above. And to the left of me was all the red zone suites.
Yeah.
And then behind me was the 100 section, 200 section. And it was pretty isolated little area. And all the sound guys and the people that would come perform they would all go past this spot. So I was like, okay, I want to be here on the 31-yard line. And so they set me up there every single game, every single home game, I would be on the 31-yard game pregame. So when the players would come out warming up and stretching, I would be playing their favorites. Or I would be, most of the games were on Sunday. So I'd usually started off with something that was like a little bit more maybe churchy or something that was a little bit more soulful. And then I'd get into something for everybody, like whether it be rock, whether it be trap, whether it be like reggae, whether it be mainstream, whether it be country, whatever. I was playing a little bit of everything for everybody, but mainly for the players and the coaches.
Would they come by and say, hey, can you add this? Can you play this for me?
All the time. Russell Wilson was notorious about coming by asking me to play Michael Jackson. Other players would come by asking me to play.
Did he have a favorite MJ cut?
Oh, it didn't even matter, man. He didn't even like. I would usually play The Way You Make Me Feel for him or Billie Jean, like just the classics that he knows, right? I would play those ones, and other players would all come here like Jeezy or whatever was popping at the time, whatever underground. Because you got to think these guys are like in their early 20s. Marshawn Lynch would come by and he'd be like, play some Bay Area shit. I'd be like, all right, cool, and
what would you
Michael
give him?
Bennett
2 Live Crew?
by. Cam Chancellor.
No, not
Cam
2 Live
Chancellor
Crew.
by.
You give him some. That's fucked up. They're from Florida, right?
Who?
Who's from Oakland? Too Short.
Yeah, Too Short. Too Short. Too Short. But he didn't want to hear no short. Marshawn Lynch is
Did you want
Marshawn Lynch is hood. He wanted
Andre
to hear like,
Nicotina?
no, I mean, you know, do you know Andre Nicotina's rap name before it was Andre Nicotina?
Dre Dog?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, but he didn't want to hear that. He wanted to hear hood shit. Like he wanted to hear Filthy Rich, and he wanted to hear like people, you know, like hyphy shit, Keep the Sneaky 40. Like he wasn't really trying to hear Too Short too much. I mean, of course, he wanted to hear like Mac Dre shit like that, but
right.
You got to know. You got to like. I started picking out their favorites. Like I would know the special teams. Like when they come out, I would know what coaches liked what. I would know. I obviously knew Pete Carroll's favorites.
What's Pete into?
He's into funk, man.
Is that right?
He's into funk, bro. But you know what? Don't get it twisted, man. Because he's also very into some cheesy pop mainstream stuff too. Like he would come out and like he would want to hear the what was it, the drumline shit. There was something that he wanted to hear.
He wanted to hear Maroon 5.
You want to hear that? Yeah, like I'm like, yo, like how are you gonna go from wanting to hear Gap Band or Commodores or something funky like that, or James Brown? Like, why? How are you gonna go from that to like, now you want to hear Miley Cyrus?
Right.
So he was surprising. And then who else would come up? Ask,
you can't go from the Brothers Johnson to the Jonas Brothers.
Oh man, it's true though. He did like the Brothers Johnsons too. Unlike you, great. you just like Brothers Johnsons.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Yeah.
What a cool gig.
That was cool, man. I got a Super Bowl ring off of that.
What?
Yeah. I DJ for them for 10 years, man. I was there for them with both Super Bowls. That fucking pass that got picked off, I was right there, man. No. I was literally like, that happened 15 feet away from me.
No.
Yes, bro. Yes, bro. Yes, bro. Face. And the bus ride on the way back to the hotel, you could hear a mouse pissing on a cotton ball. It was that quiet. It was that quiet. People were almost fighting. Like, it was a crazy, because I went back on the team bus, right? I was there to do the after party with Drake and Snoop. And we
only there win. Wasn't an after party.
There was not. You know who's at the after party? Me and Luke, whatever his name is, the kicker.
Skywalker.
Skywalker. Fuck it, I don't know. It was me and him doing karaoke and a couple other people. Nobody was there. It was empty. There was a bunch of food, all the caterers. Empty.
It was a heartbreaker, though, right? I mean, people are still talking about it.
Yo, it's still too soon, like, for people to crack jokes about that. It's still too soon.
It was cool last year to see Marshawn come back.
I mean, that was a Hail Mary, but the thing, and to be honest with you, I don't know shit about sports, but I know that I know what I saw when I was there, right? Because I don't think they hired me because I'm a sports guy. They hired me because I'm a music guy. But and I think the other cool part is that I never really docked the players because I didn't know who they were, their accomplishments, or what they've done, or why they're so awesome. Like, I don't know. I just know I'm there to play music, right?
Right.
So, that shit was insane. Like, that loss and the emotion. Like, have you ever walked in the room after two people have got done fighting, and they might not be saying anything to each other, but you can still kind of feel that tension?
Sure.
That was the bus.
Well,
that was the bus ride back.
I mean, that's a bad call, and it's a bad call, and there was a much surer bet, and everyone knew it, and I live up here in fucking Patriots country now. I'm 20 minutes from the Massachusetts border. There's Patriots shirts, and I wear my Seahawks gears up here sometimes still, and Every once in a while, someone will just like chuckle at me. It stings. I gotta say, it stings. But then I'll go back onto the NFL app and just watch the year before, and it just feels fucking like a completely different team. You know, I mean, we were rolling that year. That was what a good gig you had,
bruh. I thought, man. Okay, so here's me. So the first year we won it, I was getting shows left and right. I was, saying, like, I was pretty popular because, of course, you're the Seahawks DJ. You're getting a little bit of visibility. I DJ'd the biggest party in Seattle, 400,000 people for that parade. I DJ'd that, right?
Right.
So when we're on that 1 yard line, I'm like, oh shit, we're about to fucking win it again. This is going to be a great year for me. Yeah, I left the next year. Oh shit, man!
But the next year, I saw you at a game. That was the first time I think I saw you at a game.
I was planning my exit, and then the article came out about, like, I think Rolling Stone. It was either Rolling Stone or somebody, one of these magazines. They interviewed me, right, and they were asking, well, maybe it was Complex or some shit. I forgot who it was, but they did an interview, and they're like, oh well, same questions that everybody asks. What do the players like to hear? Blah blah blah.
Right.
And I was like, yo, Russell likes to hear Michael, just like I told you, and Pete Carroll likes this. And then they're like, oh, and then I was like, they're like, do any of the players ever request Future? And I was like, yeah, of course they do. And then I was like, but I'll play it, but I really don't like to play it because Russell's a friend of mine, and I really don't like to play it. And then it went from that part in the interview to the headline, which was Seattle Seahawks DJ can't play Future's music because of Russell Wilson.
I don't even know who Future is and what
Future
that means.
is, okay, so Russell Wilson married Sierra, right?
Okay.
Sierra has a child with an Atlanta rapper named Future.
Got it.
And at that point in time, Sierra and Future were beefing, and he's calling her a hoe on Instagram and on social media, and they're beefing back and forth, right? But my alliance at that point was to Russell because Russell had always been good and he was the homie. Like when I did my fundraiser, he donated stuff. Like he was the man. Like he would always come over. He gave me a signed football, like all kinds of shit that I didn't ask for.
If he doesn't want to have Future in his house, fuck Future. That's what I say.
Yeah, like if he doesn't like and even then what I said is like I didn't say I wouldn't play it. I said I don't like playing it. Like, yeah, I'll play it, but I don't really like playing it because whatever, right? I said it feels weird to play it, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't say that I wouldn't play it or that I didn't play it. And that headline went everywhere, and I think that ruffled some feathers. And after that, they were kind of salty. And I was like, oh man, you guys are weak. I'm trying to leave anyway. Like, oh well, if you're trying to leave, then we have a replacement on deck. And I was like, oh, what you got to do? Oh, good luck to you. I was like, good luck to you too.
That's your white voice again.
That's the corporate white boy voice.
White guy in the office.
Toby, Toby, can I have a talk with you, Toby? Yeah, well, I'll tell you some things. She played some songs that have the N-word in them today. I don't know if we.
It's not aligned. It's not aligned with our thinking around here.
Not aligned with our coaching process, and yeah, they were kind of after it was super loosey goosey before the Super Bowl, but after we won the Super Bowl, it was they locked down the ship and they started tightening up, and things started getting a little bit different and weird, right? Like things started getting weird to the point to where it's like I was getting in trouble for stuff that it's kind of like a setup. Like we had a game in Arizona, and typically I don't travel with the team, but I just so happened to be in Arizona, and I was like, yo, I'm going to be out there when they're playing. Can I get a pass? And they're like, yeah, of course. We'll give you a pass with your picture on it. Just wear that. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm thinking I have to wear the same stuff that I wear at the games in Seattle. I have their pass to get into the stadium in Arizona. And then I have my picture pass from Seattle just in case there's any problems. Like, I'm not trying to get over, like, be sneaky. Like, there's no way you can be sneaky. Like, you have to have credentials to get into these events. So I'm wearing my credentials, and I have the other credential. And then Everything went fine. I'm on the field. All the players like, yo, what's up, Tobe? How's it going? What's up, DB? You know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, cool. Stayed there for a little bit. It was hot as fuck. I left. Get back to Seattle, and then they're like, hey, yeah, did you use your laminate to get into the backstage area? I was like, you mean the field where I normally go? I was like, yeah, I told you guys I was going to be down there, and that's what I was going to do. And you gave me the on-field pass that gets me onto the field. You gave that to me. Like, right. Oh, well, we didn't know you were going to use that to actually do what you said you were going to do.
Well, it doesn't have a seat number attached to it.
Right. My thinking exactly. So apparently I got in trouble for that, and then I don't know. They were just picking at different shit. So I was like, I was gonna leave anyway. It's time to go. I'm out of here.
Right.
And the cool thing is that the guy that I was grooming for that position, that they knew I was grooming for that position to put him there, they didn't even consider him. They just hired some radio DJ, and then the players would complain like a motherfucker about this guy. Like, I got surrounded. I did Michael Bennett's birthday like a couple of weeks after all this went down, and it was like Sherman, Cam, who else was there? Bennett, somebody else came up, but they surrounded me. They're like, man, where are you, man? Who is this new guy, man? This guy's playing Miley Cyrus, and it's not cool. Like, can you come back? Like, what's up? Like, man, they wanted a radio DJ instead. I'm sorry.
That's amazing.
But then I went on to do, like, I still work with Michael Bennett religiously. I did Cam Chancellor's wedding. I still talk to the guys a lot. Like, when I see Marshawn Lynch, it's all love. Like,
yeah,
it's all love on that part. And it was fun while it lasted. But, like anything else, I had been there 10 years, so I was already trying to plan a little exit stage left.
How'd you end up in Hawaii?
Because I had been visiting out here for so long, yeah. So I've come out here like since the 90s. And I had a hookup that was on I thought I was going to get a condo for super cheap. That ended up falling apart. And then I didn't want to go back to the town. So I figured it out and just made my way. And now I'm here. It's been almost 4 years.
Wow. And never looking back. Never like.
It would be really hard. It would be really hard. Even when I go back to visit Seattle, man, sometimes like it's very different climate, very different atmosphere. And it's, it's really hard. It's really hard to decide between the two, right? Because Seattle's where I was born and raised, and it's beautiful in a lot of different ways. But out here, it's comfortable, it's warm, I'm alone, like it's different, man. It's different. And I get to train, I get to fight a lot. And I think like when I fight out here, it's different because I'm getting old, man. So my joints move differently when it's cold. Like right. Out here, I can go hop in the ocean at any point in time, take a sea salt water scrub, sand on my skin. I can lay in the sun. My joints feel right. The food is great, fresh fish.
Right.
It's like, you see, there's the aesthetic is beautiful. Like I'll wake up and go outside and I see a rainbow.
Right.
I mean, imagine standing on the beach. You got a light drizzle on your chest, the sun on your back, and you got the breeze blowing. You look to your left and you see a mountain. Look to your right, you see water for as far as you can see. Not a cloud. It's just.
It looks like
the aesthetic.
Lost was shot there, right?
I think so. In Jurassic Park?
Right. It looks like that shit.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It looks like jungle paradise.
I go on a hike. I went on a hike yesterday, and there's leaves that are bigger than me. Right? And it's just like it's this aesthetic and this feeling to where it's like the beauty here is unmatched, man. It's right. It's a different kind of power, a different kind of energy. I'll go hike, and then instead of being tired at the end of the hike, I'll feel more strengthened. Different, man. Different. It's different.
I've only ever been there on a layover. I've never been there. My wife went to a half a year of high school there. She lived there for a while. And
so she knows.
She had a rough go there. Because she went to school with locals, and they treated her like pretty bad.
They had like a day at school that was called like Kill a Whitey Day or something like that. Except there's a word for a whitey there.
Howley.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not good.
Well, I mean,
it's not good. It's not good.
No. It's yeah. No one should experience anything like that.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not good.
But she loved it. You know, she thought it was beautiful. She talks about wanting to take me there sometime. So,
I mean, you should come back, man. If I got to get you a ticket, man, you let me know what I got to do, man. I'm forever indebted for you. Show me the D, the C, you know.
Hey, check it out. We're not going to talk about the specific song right now because I don't want to give it away. But it's all coming together. The Couch Riffs thing.
Oh, good. It's
all coming together.
Let me text my buddy then as soon as we get off, and I'll see if he can find me that part.
We're not using We're not using the track. I got a drummer that is gonna So we're not gonna play it, you know, too close. You know, it's not gonna be like this. It's gonna be the song, right? But it'll be a live drummer.
Okay.
I'll play bass, and then I'm gonna do some singing, and then I got another fella's gonna sing, and another guy is gonna do the breakdown, the rap in the middle. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
Can we get some practice runs in before or no?
Oh no, it's not live. So I can't do it live. Do you have the means to record the audio to the track? Great, because that's what I need. That's what I need from you.
So basically, if you want, I think my part would probably have to come last. Damn it, this.
Well, yeah, probably there's a big breakdown in the middle. There's like an 8-bar break, which is just like, feels like, all right, well, that works in the club, but that's not very good radio. Like nothing else has happened except for the beat right there. And like, what are you guys doing? Like that would.
I'll fuck it up.
Well, right. There's a great. But if we could find those other bits, like there's stuff all over that whole song for you to fuck up. It'd be great.
Easy.
I can already hear the whole thing, and I'm super pumped.
No, it's gonna be dope, dude. It's gonna be dope. Like I'm excited too, man.
I'm very excited. This is a song that Rockaroki used to do, as you recall, and I was always so happy when it would come up.
Yo. Why hasn't Rockaroki taken off? Like, why don't they do like a franchise of that shit?
There are other live karaoke things that are franchised. I mean, well, no one's really going out at the moment.
I mean, couldn't George do something where he like franchise that? Like, can you patent that idea or no?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
because that was sick, man. That was sick, bro.
It was good, right? Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, sometimes there were train wrecks, but
Of course, man. That's what made it dope. Like, but there's also a few shining stars, man. I remember this one guy got up there and did Creep. I was blown away at his vocals. This was at Talayla.
Yeah.
He nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was fun. I was playing a lot of music then. It was great. Yeah,
that was good times, man. That was good time.
So let me ask you this, and then let's wrap it up. Because we've been going for a while. We're over an hour and a half.
It's easy to talk. It's easy to talk with you, man. Loved ones.
How has this pandemic stuff hit Hawaii, which is already sort of like isolated from the rest of the population of the planet? But then, how have the restrictions there affected your training?
We have to train now remote. So that's why I got the dummy. Like all the training that we do is remote. Like if you want to go rogue, there's a couple places where gyms will open and they'll get a couple guys like Fight Club, and you just, go in there and don't say nothing to nobody, don't post it on no Instagram, and we just train like that. But for the most part, if you want to train consistently and not be breaking the rules or putting yourself or anybody else in jeopardy, then what happens is the coach will log on to a Zoom similar to this, and he'll have a training dummy, and he'll be like, okay, here's the move for the day. Take your dummy and you set it down, and now you're going to grab his arm, put him over, and then you step up, and he'll walk us through the process. But I will say this, the good part about that is that when we're training, and I have this guy right here, like, I can choke him 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 times. He'll never complain. If I do that with a real person,
Right.
I cannot. So, like, my technique on that level is able to skyrocket because I can drill the move 100 times without having to worry about somebody else getting negatively affected or hurt. And I can work on refining my movements, going the right places. So it's good in that level, but it's weird in the fact that I don't have any resistance.
Right.
And I also, it's not a real body.
Right.
So, until this, I think they're talking about opening gyms. Excuse me. I think they're talking about opening gyms in like 2 weeks or maybe 10 days or something like that. So we'll see.
Since it's just you by yourself in a room with a dummy, like when you're at the gym, are you ever distracted by other folks that are paired off and practicing, moves and holds? Or have you've been doing this long enough where you're just like hyper focused on exactly what's going on right in front of you and that's it?
You usually have and our classes are super full. So it's like you usually have about 30 to 50 people in one room. So you'll have 25 groups of people. So it's like I try not to focus on, like, if someone needs help, like, because a lot of times the moves are complicated in the sense to where it's like procedural, right? So one moves come first. First you go here, and then after you grab, then you lean to your right. Then after you lean to your right, you throw your left leg over. It's like, but some people get confused in which one comes first. So it can be distracting in the sense where if people need help, then you help them, and it takes away from you doing an actual move on somebody. But other than that, like, people usually just focus on doing the move themselves and training with their partner. And it doesn't, other people don't really distract you unless they bump into you or unless they ask for help. Yeah. No big deal.
Here's maybe a stupid question.
No such thing.
But I imagine if you're going for a hold, not probably not a throw, but if you're going for a particular hold or submission, there are, like you just said, there's like a succession of small movements that you make that get you to your end place, right? There must be some people who are so fast and smooth that it's more like a Tai Chi move than a diagram of, like first, know.
Well, that's actually the goal. Like, the goal is to be able to do it. So that's the smaller movements are put in effect where it's like, okay, when I grab you, if I grab your outside arm, I'm grabbing it with my hand on the outside of your wrist for a reason. Because if I have my hand on the outside of your wrist, when I finish the throw, you're already going to be in a position for me to get the arm bar. If I grab you on the inside of the wrist, it's an extra move for me later down the road. So it's like when you're talking about the smoothness and the transition of flow to flow, it's like, yeah, you have to think about these things in advance. So it's like, this is why I'm grabbing your head first. Like, I'm grabbing your head and pulling it down so you can't move. That way it makes it easier for me to motion off to the side and put my leg over and get the arm bar. Like, there's a certain, like, the goal is to be able to do it as smooth as possible. But in order to do it smooth as possible, first you have to know what the succession is and what the process is. Like, okay, do I pull your head down first, or do I grab the inside of your collar first? Do I make sure I control your hips, or do I throw my left leg up first, or do I throw my right leg up first? Do I lean first, or do I throw, like,
I guess there's also calculating your opponent's abilities and their speed and their strength.
Right. And trying to negate those things. So it's like, so if I go up against a guy who's maybe like 250, 350 and way more stronger and muscular than me, I have to try to figure out what I'm going to do.
You have to go up against guys that are 250 and 350?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. That's what made it so intriguing to me, because when I first
Who
started,
weighs
I came,
350 pounds?
bro, we're in Hawaii. Everybody
Right.
weighs 350 pounds. Babies weigh 350
And
pounds.
when you've gone and competed,
Yeah.
are you competing against dudes that big?
Well, okay, so here's typically in competition, what happens is you fight somebody that's the same skill level and same weight level, same age, right? Or similar age, like there's brackets. So you're going to go 10 years, right? So if you're over 30, they have what's called masters. And then if you're over 40, they have master 1, over 50, master 2, blah, 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 right? Or they might do it in increments of 5 years. But you're supposed to fight people that are your weight class. My last competition, I cheated and I weighed in with the 2 water bottles in my backpack so I would be heavier. I wanted to fight the big boys, right?
Yeah.
Because in class, I was like, like I fight the big boys and I'm a little bit more agile than them, man. Like I can make my ways around. I'm a little bit more quicker. So I was like, shit, I want the edge. But then I went to competition and I fought these guys and it made a difference, man. I lost 2 rounds. I lost 2 of my rounds of competition, but not by submission. In competition, they judge it. If there's no submission, they judge it by points.
Right.
Right. So I lost on points. I didn't lose by getting sub. And plus, in my age group, it was only 4-minute rounds, and I'm like, yo, this is not enough time. Like it's very short for jiu-jitsu rounds to be 4 minutes. But I think they factor that in because they think most people my age are not going to have the stamina to continue to fight like 5 rounds,
right?
5 4-minute rounds or something like that. But, I think I do really well in competitions, and I think in for the most part, I just need to stay in my weight class and stop trying to be.
It sounds kind of like when you first tried to compete.
Exactly.
It's like same shit, different asshole.
I can win. I'm gonna win it.
Yeah.
I
I have one last question for you. Is do you think that training and the efficiency of physical movement has affected DJing for you? Like, do you think about DJing differently? Because, I mean, obviously, working turntables and a mixer is different than trying to fucking get someone on the ground, but you're thinking about efficiency of movement.
Yeah, I haven't until right now. I think that's kind of there's a system of scratches that came out, like scratch patterns that came out in the 90s, where you had to train yourself to have the most efficient movement because you're trying to maximize the amount of sounds that you use with the amount of movement that you make, right? So because you can only move your hands so fast to get like a super crisp sounding scratch. Like if you want to sound fast, then you can only move your hands so fast. But in the 90s, these guys from the Bay came out with these types of scratches called flares, to where it's like you only have to do one click with your fader, but you can get 4 sounds. You get a baby forward and a baby backwards. So you get actually 4 sounds with one movement on your fader hand. So it makes it sound like you're doing some super quick stuff, but it's really just a trick. Like you're getting 1 sound backwards with the pull, 1 sound forward with the push, then you cut off that sound, you bring it back in, and you get another sound forward with the push and another sound backward with the pull. So it's like one movement like that, but you get 4 sounds, right? So you're just doing like that, and you get 4 sounds. Then they broke it down and they would add 2 clicks. So you can get 6 sounds with this same movement. Just this movement, you get 6 sounds. So it's the efficiency.
Is the mixer modified? Is the
not
fader? It's
not
like incremental. It's still just a fade.
There's no fade. You have to have the quick cut on. So it's like it goes from being silent to loud immediately. Right. So it's not a fade in a typical sense where your volume gradiates down as a gradient. Yeah. It's either on or it's off.
Right.
And you do that with the fader. but you can set this. You can make the settings on the fader.
I like to call it
in.
either off or off the hook.
It's either off or it's off the hook.
That's right.
But once they started coming out with those, it was hella easy to make it get more sounds with less movement. And it's similar to fighting in jiu-jitsu. Like you want to maximize your leverage and your positioning, so you don't have to do as many movements.
Right.
You can do less with more. So I never thought about. I think about it in life a lot, but not so much with DJing.
I think about efficiency all the time. Like I think about if I'm walking from one room to the next room and I got to bring something in there, I'm thinking about the route that I take through my house, because I don't want to walk back and forth 5 times. I'll make like one circle, or
damn, son, you got a mansion?
No. But like the kitchen and the living room is split into 2 rooms, and you can walk a circle through it. No, my house is like 1,600 square feet.
You can't use the elevator?
No. I'll just call.
Why don't you just have your butler bring it?
That's a lot of times I'll text the butler. Yeah.
Damn, this guy said, I think about the most efficient route to go in my house.
For real. And
that says I'm a baller.
Well,
my name is.
I was a delivery driver for a while, and I think that's when it started.
Oh.
Because you got to think about, okay, this is a one way over here, that's a one way over there, and when I pull up to make my delivery, I want to be in front, and I want to be, I want to be set up for
in a way to where I can drop this off and leave.
Yeah, get in and out quick, and I want to be headed in the right direction. So I might not pull up right in front of the store. I might pull up around the block if they're close to one intersection or the other, because you get out, walk a quarter of a block, deliver, walk back, and you're on a one-way headed towards your next place, rather than driving 2 blocks around after your quick delivery. Especially if there's a lot of traffic, it's just like faster, easier, more efficient.
That makes sense.
I probably overthink about it.
I think about that shit a lot, man. And you get to actually experience it. Like when you do jiu-jitsu, like you actually get to experience how that shit works. Like you'll have a move and you'll be like, yo, I did everything that I was supposed to do. Why did it not work? And then the coach will be like, oh, well, you forgot to hold his head down. Like, oh, that's the one thing I forgot to do. And then the next time you do it, you'll keep your hand somewhere close to their head so you don't forget that. And then it's like a process to where it's like, you won't forget that next time. So it increases your attention to efficiency.
Yeah.
Sure.
Man, I've had a great time catching up with you and talking, and
yes, sir.
I miss you.
Sir. Yeah, I miss you too, man. I miss you too. You know what I really miss? I miss being able to just call you up and come hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like, either come throw a couple chords together at the spot, and then DJ, or have you come over and have some food and fuck with some chords. That, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit is. I miss that, man.
Yeah, I miss it too. But you're 6 hours away.
I mean, there's
you're 6 hours. Man. It's it's further than that. But you know what? We might end up out there. And if we do come out there to visit, I'll hit you up.
Why don't you come out specifically just to hang out? Like I've been swimming a lot lately, so maybe I'll find some spots to use. Do you dive at all?
No, not really.
I think you would, but you're not afraid of the water, right? You hop in there and swim.
No, I'm not afraid.
Okay, well, good. Let's find it. Let's find a time for you to come out sometime soon. You and your wifey, and we'll hop in the water. We'll go get some poke. We'll do all the things.
You missed my joke.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
You said, "Are you afraid?" I said, "No, I'm white." This is bringing it all the way back around.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Damn it, Mikey!
You're the best, man.
No, you're the best. I appreciate you. I appreciate you reaching out, man. I think that is important for people to talk, man, and at the very least, understand what their role is and what they could do for any situation. You know, we all gonna have to get there together if we do go. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's important that we go spend some time and go back over the basics, get everybody on the same page.
Golden rule.
Golden rule. Golden rule. What kind of acoustic guitar should I get?
Just get yourself a little Yamaha.
Okay.
That's what I'm playing right now. I love it. You can get one for a couple $100. When I get my DJ booth set up in my new champagne room, we'll start doing the lesson swap again over Zoom. It'll be perfect.
What's your favorite chord combo?
My favorite chord combo.
Yeah, like your favorite set of chords to play in succession.
Oh, I don't know. I like an A minor and a G a lot. I like those two. They sound good. They sound like Neil Young.
Neil Young, Bob Marley too, right? A minor?
I don't know if Bob play a lot of A minors.
Hold on. What is Could You Be Loved?
I don't know.
That's
I never strummed that one out.
You should. Whoa, Jesus. Hey, you talking like that on the podcast? Damn. let's look. Okay, here we go. Let's see. What is this?
I don't have perfect pitch, but I don't think that's an A. I think that's. It sounds like B minor. Do you see? I'm gonna. What key is Could You Be Loved in? B minor.
Whoa.
It's in B minor.
Oh, hold up. Let's look.
Get the fuck out. That was pretty good, Mike.
That's pretty good, Mike.
Not bad, Squire. Not bad for a dumbass.
What is this? What's this one?
I think that's in G.
Okay. Is there any? Hold on. What about this? Oh, what about this?
Oh, I don't know, man. There's too much stuff going on for me.
Yeah, I think so too. I was just trying my hardest to find a Bob Marley song that was in A minor, but I'll settle for the B minor.
B minor.
And the G. And B minor and the G.
That's it.
So let me write this down. Your favorite chords are A minor, so I know it's practice. A minor and G?
I think so. Yeah.
Did you say that because I'm a G?
That's exactly right. That's right. You could be the big G, I'll be a little G.
Appreciate that. The G for a G. Well, man, stay in touch, man. Anytime you want to call, talk, hang out, whatever you want to, man, stay in touch. Call me anytime. Let me know how you're doing. Stay in. Definitely, if you can come out, please come out, hang out with me, man. You know who came out here? Who came out here? I think when I first moved here, I think Tiana. Did Tiana come out here? From Rockoroki, I think she came out here.
Crazy.
You know the crazy little curly headed chick?
Yeah.
I think she came out here when I first moved here. And a lot of people come to visit, man. So get your ass out here, man. Hurry up.
All right, man. Be safe.
You too, man. Be safe. Stay woke and fuck, man. Stay in touch, man.
I will do.
Talk to you later.
Bye.